Let's examine your introductions. Family, Dr. Sean here, continuing the conversation on how you can win and how we can win together, primarily by leveraging the art of communication. I was reminded to examine my own introductions by a lady named Margaret Grace. It was a name that popped up on my list, a patient that I was supposed to see on a particular day recently, and I saw the name Margaret Grace and I got this very warm feeling. I don't know if you've ever had a reaction just by looking at a person's name. Turns out that Grace is one of my favorite names for a lady, and so I could just hear myself saying, "Hi, I'm Dr. Hubbard. Ms. Grace, how are you?" And the other is that my grandmother's name was Margaret, and she used to make these wonderful blackberry pie, these wonderful biscuits for which everybody wanted to know the recipe. The entire neighborhood and community used to call her Miss Margaret. And so I imagine that either I would call her Miss Grace or Miss Margaret. I would be happy either way. And so I went to meet her. Hi, I'm Dr. Hubbard. I'm from the neurology department. And I was asked to see you by your doctor, Dr. So-and-so, whoever it was at that time. And he wanted me to evaluate you regarding your neurological symptoms. And so I said this, and she greeted me. And I asked her, "So how would you like for me to address you?" And she said, "Call me Marge." Imagine that. I mean, it was like the last thing I thought that she was going to say at all. I mean, there was not a part of me that thought she was going to say, "Call me Marge." Don't you think that's like a whole different personality? How often do we want to call people and refer to them, address them by names for our own personal reasons? Maybe we're lazy, we don't feel like pronouncing their name. It's foreign to us. It might be long and we want to just shorten it or something like that. Turns out my wife's name is Kalpana, and people want to call her Kay. They want to give up. And so it was a wonderful opportunity for me to examine my own introductions once again, because even though I know better, it's always awesome to get a reminder. So here we go. What do you think is the most important aspect of an introduction? How about my name? Let's give that A. How about my role? B. How about C, the patient's name? How about D, what the patient wants to be referred to, how they want us to refer to them? And let's say E, all of the above. What do you think? Well, they're all pretty important, right? Let's take them one by one. Now, usually, people don't forget to introduce their own name, but there's so much more going on when we introduce ourselves. We're introducing our essence, we're introducing our openness, we're representing our family, we're representing our institution, we're representing our culture, the healthcare culture, how things are done. And so introductions are huge, don't you think? So we're not just introducing our name, but name, very important. I don't think anybody would leave that out. How about role? Role's very important also. It gives a patient a sense of why we are there and what we are going to be doing, how we are contributing. I usually like to also offer that I was asked to see you by Dr. So-and-so. So it gives a collaborative position, if you will, in the role. So I think that's very important, our role. How about the patient's name? Yes, absolutely, patient's name. And I stress that we take the time to learn how they pronounce their name. They don't mind if you take a guess. As a matter of fact, sometimes I will ask patients, "Do you mind if I take a guess at exactly how you pronounce your name?" And they're interested because they know I'm interested. And it's a little game. But if time's short, I'll ask them, "What is the correct pronunciation of your name? I want to make sure that I get it the way you like it." And then I'll practice it for a couple times before moving on. So get their name. And how about how they want to be addressed? We can't stress this enough. We have been making a lot of assumptions, and sometimes it's based on what we've been taught. I don't know about you, but I was taught that if I would call a gentleman Mr. James Sullivan, if I call him Mr. Sullivan, that it's very appropriate and acceptable. Well, the idea is that it's appropriate and acceptable, and he's likely not going to have any problem with that. But if I want to really make an impression, if I really want to engender trust, if I want to build a relationship with James Sullivan, well, then I'll ask him. And I have asked, how would you like for me to address you? Many times I'm surprised because people say, well, thanks for asking because Mr. Sullivan is my dad. You can call me Jim. This happens over and over and over again, contrary to what we were taught. It's better not to assume, and it's more effective rather to ask people, how would you like for me to address you going forward? And then finally, all of the above. All of the above are important. However, if we ask people and we don't assume, how would you like for me to address you? They'll be touched on a deep level. They'll ask, about where we can follow up. They'll want more. They'll feel a sense of trust. And if you happen to walk out of the room before they get a chance to ask you, they'll ring the bell. They'll ask other people, who was that professional who was here a little while ago? And I wonder, where's their office and all that kind of stuff? What's their name? They want to get all of your details, all of that other stuff that we already said was important. So make sure that you get these introductions correct, proper, and let's say effective in building that rapport, building that trust early. That's really what we want to do if we are going to significantly and meaningfully impact a patient's experience while they are under our care. It's the best time to make a first impression. Thanks so much for watching. And if you found value in this, please like my channel and subscribe. I'll be coming back with more tips just like this one. Take care, guys. Keep winning.